City Council and to the community. Wanted to take this opportunity to provide an update on the ever-changing action that the city's taking in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. I've created some talking points. I'm going to try to be brief, but there's a fair amount of information to cover. So what I would like to do is first share that city staff have been in conversations internally and with our external partners for weeks, prepping for the likelihood of what we are experiencing as a nation, state, region, and this community. Last week, we took the following actions. We canceled programs at the arena and the BCPA, canceled programs for seniors and SOAR. Cleaning increased with the facilities department, and also the expectation of employees to maintain their workspaces. Implemented social distancing practices as defined by many of the credible sources. Administrative court was postponed until May. Zoo closing will be on Wednesday, March 18th, which is the day after the primary election, because it is held at the zoo. First Friday and downtown Easter events have been canceled. Business travel for employees has been canceled. Established a line item to collect all expenses associated with COVID-19 for the possibility of reimbursement. So if we have staff that are off because of an illness or because of child care consideration, the increased cost for some of the cleaning supplies, that's something that we're now tracking, in the finance department through a line item that's created just for COVID-19. Boards and commission meetings that can be suspended have been, but this will also follow any changes that the council might adopt in the future. Also stood up a direct link on the city's website to the CDC, the Illinois Department of Public Health, and the McLean County Health Department. Ramped up what a centralized communication strategy would look like internally and externally. All things are vetted through the communications manager, Nora Dukowitz. Considering as many scenarios regarding city employees as possible, the collective bargaining agreements, child care, caring for other family, a direct exposure, an indirect exposure, work at home or telecommuting, and so on. I have actually been working since last week. Really, Jeff Juergen's been the one that's been running the lead on this. We will have an executive order from the city manager will be finalized tomorrow. And it puts into, it formalizes many of the things that I was sharing. And that's a fluid document that's ever-changing as well. Next, considering how do we deliver city services in other ways, messaging the current online options, actual physical signage, facility closure to limit public access, and so on. Local ongoing discussions with McLean County, the town of Normal, that have ramped up to include the Chamber of Commerce, EDC, and others, and this is at my level. Local ongoing discussions among staff with hospitals, public safety, emergency management, the state's attorney's office, our insurance carriers for things related to our insurance coverage, and others. Other ongoing discussions or following the updates that they're providing with the Illinois Municipal League, the state of Illinois, the President of the United States and his administration, and then also as an alumni for the Center of Homeland Defense and Security, there's an alumni site where a lot of emergency management professionals from around the state, United States, are tracking what their best practices are as well. Over the weekend, many of the considerations are turning into reality with the Unit 5 District 87 closures, Governor Pritzker enacting precautionary measures with the implementation of the City Hall and the Government Center will be closed to the public effective Wednesday, March 18th, the day after the primary, and until May 1st. Look to our city website for instruction on the various services that can be delivered online. We will be suspending, and this is just to name a few, and we'll get that complete list in you guys' hand when we have that. Water shutoffs for any reason, water meter replacement, fine collection, and again, we'll provide updates to follow in the very near future. We'll be providing the following services from the will call windows at the Grossinger Arena along Madison Street. And then what I'm saying here is while we're closing the facilities, City Hall and the Government Center, the city portion of the Government Center, we're still going to try to push people to online payment, use the Dropbox, but we know that there's those needs for some individuals to pay in person or to have that direct contact, but also trying to maintain the separation. We've got a will call window that's on Madison Street at the arena. There's 4 windows that it's not going to take very much to get those up, and plan on getting that finalized tomorrow in preparation for the Wednesday closure action. So they must still go to that location. We'll have the clerk staff, the water billing staff, they'll all be in one location. We're going to stand up a covered area and also a propane tank for heat, on the exterior if that would be necessary, over the next coming days. But that's what we plan on doing, and that'll be effective on Wednesday. Public safety comments will come later in this conversation. Chief Donath is going to go first. Chief Moore will go second. Both of these gentlemen have, well, let me back up and say this a different way. Public safety is one where the exposure or the possibility of exposure is probably far greater for any of our employees. So I want the council to understand that if a crew in the fire department is exposed, what does Chief Moore have in place to deal with that? On the police side, just as one example, if we start losing police officers, what happens with some of the specialty positions? And the patrol is the primary focus if, we get to that point, and he's got a plan in place. And that's just one example of some of the things that the chiefs are going to comment to. Legal considerations, I'm going to call up Jeff Juergens after the fact. He'll talk about what we've prepared as an emergency declaration, also some OMA considerations, and we'll walk through some of the items that he's got prepared to present. Communication. Nora Dukowitz is not here. I tried to eliminate as many staff, but I know she's watching us on the live stream, as actually the other directors are required to as well. But Nora is our central point of contact regarding information and communication internally and externally. Am I going to get the gavel?
No.
Okay.
I was wiping it off.
All right. If there was ever a time to over-communicate, if that is possible, with the most up-to-date information that is ever-changing and fluid, it is times like this. Even more critical is controlling the communication so that it is consistent for our community's sake. Respect the fact that media has limits in terms of space in a news article, and maybe time in a radio conversation, and a complete message can be lost. We do not have that challenge, and we'll be communicating via our social media sites and our website to complement and complete our local media. So Nora, in her role, truly becomes that vetting, that central point. Not necessarily the PIO, because I'm sure you guys are going to have constituents that want to be heard from you as elected officials. I'm just saying Nora is that person that provides the script, if you will, that's up to date, provides talking points. And then definitely internally with the staff, it's one where any media outreach or any questions that are being asked of us, it goes through Nora first. She might provide the response, or she might provide the response back to the department director to respond to the media request. So those are a number of things that we're doing internally. Tomorrow we have a staff meeting that will finalize what's going to appear in my emergency order as the city manager, and that's really the personnel type of stuff that we need to consider as we prepare for what's here today and what's likely to come next. One thing that I've talked about staff, and I'm actually I appreciate the comments, Mayor, and I keep touching my face, and I shouldn't be, but very much appreciate the comments, but I have been very impressed with the department directors. Like I've said, we've been prepping for this for the last handful of weeks, and you know, these guys, I'm surrounded by staff that are very much ready for something like this. So it's made it a lot easier on me. So as we progress through this, and we will get to the other side, you know, as a nation, more so as a community, it's just the preparation, the steps that we've taken up to this point. So definitely pledge to council that we will keep you as up to date as we possibly can. Maybe check that city email a little bit more often than you typically do. And if there is something that is urgent, we'll be activating, you know, people to reach out to you guys directly via cell phones. So real quick, I'm going to read an email that came from the county administrator, Camille Rodriguez. There was a request that she present to council. And I think internally what she was asked to do from the county side was to prepare a memo that I'm about to read. So I'm going to read that now. Dear City Manager Gleason, and this is again from Camille Rodriguez, the county administrator. Dear City Manager Gleason, I want to share an update regarding McLean County government's planning and response to the coronavirus COVID-19. First, there are still no confirmed cases in our area, but we are thinking ahead. For county administration, the last 2 weeks have been full of meetings with leadership from the court system, sheriff's department, state's attorney and public defender, nursing home, jail, medical, juvenile detention center, and of course the health department to receive and share the most up-to-date information and federal and state recommendations or requirements regarding information about COVID-19. In addition, last week we convened an emergency meeting of the McLean County Board to change the location of 2 polling places located in long-term care facilities. We are reassured by the preparations by the county departments as well as the collective commitment to convene and collaborate with partners like the City of Bloomington, Town of Normal, the Mayor's Association, the Township Supervisors, the Regional Office of Education, and Advocate Broman and OSF Hospitals as we all navigate this new territory. Health and the public, the people that live with us and our staff is the driving force of our planning and decision making. We continue to communicate public health updates and any changes in recommendations. Like the hospitals, the health department has initiated its emergency operations center. Facilities remain open with some changes in operations. McLean County Nursing Home visitation is suspended as per federal guidance. Adult Detection Center visitation is remote video only. Juvenile detention visitation is phone only. And the 11th Judicial Circuit Court issued an administrative order today which continues criminal felonies, abuse, neglect, juvenile delinquency, petitions to rescind summary suspensions, and any other emergency hearings as they arise, but halts the scheduling of marriages between today and April 12th, with exceptions to those currently scheduled, and all if you do not have a case in one of these categories, the 11th Judicial Circuit Court, you do not come to court. And the Public Health Emergency Operations Center constantly pushes out the most up-to-date Illinois Department of Public Health press releases about COVID-19, and our social media feeds remain up-to-date as well. McLean County government will continue to share the most current COVID-19 information as provided by the state and federal authorities. including what people should do if they think they are sick. You can find that information on the McLean County Health Department's website and social media feeds, including Twitter and Facebook. We appreciate the opportunity to share this brief summary of McLean County government's efforts as we protect and promote health. Attached, please find an unexhaustive list of community resources to share with all. And that was in the attachment that I sent in the city manager update. I guess a couple of things that as I'm sitting here and before I pass the opportunity to speak to you guys, to the chiefs first and then to Jeff, some of the things that we've had to consider, we actually had a couple of employees that are returning from Europe. So they've agreed to self-quarantine for 14 days. We have an employee that not a direct contact with a confirmed case in the state of Illinois, but a sibling had the confirmed contact, and then there was a family gathering after the fact. And then we also have an employee that had a direct contact with one of the confirmed cases in the state of Illinois. So it's all these things on the personnel side that we've had to consider, and trying to be ever conscious of the COVID-19 considerations, and then also the health and safety of the staff, to the elected and to the community. So those are some of the reasons that the decision was made, and I see, I shared this decision with the county and with the town, and it appears that some of the other municipalities in the region are going to have facility closures as well. We know that it's important for some residents to have that face-to-face contact, and that's why we feel that we've got a great opportunity with the arena, with the ticket windows that apparently are not used but still intact, and have the phone system and the computer systems that we can use. It just was a perfect fit, to be quite honest. So that will be effective on Wednesday. Chief Donath, if